Another episode. Hi, Ted Cluck.
Hey.
Guess who's in the house today?
I know exactly who's in the house today.
I love it. Our 16th president, Dr.
Hello.
Samuel Dub Oliver.
Here I am.
Here you are.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Dub, I got a burning question.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Your hair's looking magnificent, number one. Number two, are you growing it out?
Oh.
Yes, I haven't grown it out.
Really?
Yeah.
How long are we going? Are we going to reach like Schatzer level?
I don't think I can make that.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think I can make that.
Interesting.
One, I don't think Susie would allow it, but
It's true.
two, not quite young enough to pull that off.
Schatzer has to maintain some uniqueness around here, so we'll give him that.
Good bridge from the last episode to this
I
episode.
Tremendous.
love it.
Radio pros in here.
Nobody's asking
Yeah.
about my hair, but that's okay.
No.
That's okay. Nobody
Next time,
cares.
Fran.
Nobody
Yeah.
cares. Okay. We are so glad that you're with us today. I love to have you on. It's just kind of like everybody wants to hear from the president. Everybody wants to know what's going on. What are your thoughts? Let's celebrate the highs, the lows, this, that, everything.
Well, one of the things I love about the podcast is it features so many different aspects of the campus, and I really appreciate the two of you highlighting those things, bringing those things to people so they can understand it. Because I'm certainly glad to be here, but this would be pretty flat if it was always the president,
Oh, yeah.
speaking. So I'm glad to be here a couple of times.
It
but
would be
I'm
so
also,
flat. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we agree.
Have you signed your contract yet?
Yeah, exactly. I already did it, bud. You're stuck with me for another year.
Anyway, I'm really glad to be here, and again, thankful for the opportunities that we have to share all the different things that are going on at Union.
It's so fun. I love it. I can't believe that when this episode airs, it's the end of March. And the semester is all but over, which is
Crazy.
absolutely wild to me. You just blink and it just ends. Another year come and gone. Okay, but you and I just got back from Go Trips.
Go Trips.
Go Trips.
Where'd y'all go?
We went all right. I took a team of girls to Clarkston, Georgia,
Okay.
where we served refugees. An incredible trip.
Wow.
Second year that I've done this. And so we learn a lot about who refugees are. I think there's just a complete misunderstanding, misconception of an immigrant versus a refugee.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
How do they get to our country, that process? And then what happens next once they're here? And so we went and we served them every afternoon. The mornings we learned about different ministries and were able to partner and serve alongside those ministries in the morning. And then the afternoon, we served the same families, the same kiddos after school. And it's just, it's really incredible when you think about their journey of how they got displaced, how they got here. Like we hear these things on the news.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these families are from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Ukraine, Syria. And so you hear all this and then it becomes real. And then you get glimpses of their story and how they got here. And it's just absolutely heartbreaking. So to love them and to serve them in the middle of Ramadan, which is absolutely a whole nother subject for another day, but just a sweet, sweet trip. And to see college students really, like you literally watch them each day wrestle out what they know, what they believe, what they're comfortable saying and doing.
Yeah.
And every day just gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then at the end, you're like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave. So it was great. It was wonderful, wonderful time. So glad that we went.
They're in Clarkston. We partner with the Sin Relief
Yes,
Center, which is
amazing.
a cooperative effort of
Yes.
Southern Baptist NAM and
Yes.
IMB.
Yep.
And I know at one time there was a Union grad that was leading that. Is that still the case, or is there different leadership now?
No, it's
Okay.
different leadership now. Well, hang on. It just switched.
Okay.
So now I'm confused.
Okay.
But they were both named David.
Okay.
And that's also why I'm confused. But as of a year ago, they have
I
new
remember,
leadership.
seeing that center when they were designing it and building it,
Mhm.
and I know we've gone down there several years. Such again, powerful work.
Yeah.
So grateful for the opportunities that we have there, and I think something like that. People think Clarkston, Georgia,
Right. Just right outside of Atlanta.
Why are we going to Atlanta for a
Right.
go trip? But literally,
Right.
you're seeing people who are from around the world.
Right.
And I think this is something different than when we were in college. It's not that there weren't refugees there, it's just that people are so much more mobile now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And the world has really come to us. And
Yeah.
so I love that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I went with a group to Honduras,
Oh, wow.
to Orphanage Emmanuel in a little town up in the mountains, about 80 miles from Tegucigalpa, a little town called Guaymaca, or Guaymaca, if you say it, enunciate it correctly in Spanish for our Spanish
Sí.
professors. Sí,
Yeah.
como no? And there have been teams from Union that have been going there over 20 years. And just amazing ministry down there, opportunities to see students travel internationally for the first time, step out of their own comfort zones in lots of different ways.
Yep.
Really powerful.
Now, did either of you have any like go trip romances established during the trips? I have this theory that like being on a short-term mission experience with anybody makes them like 30% hotter. And so you're gonna see everybody's got their backpack, their boarding pass. You know, we're a little tired. We've really overcome some things. You know, and I don't know, stuff tends to develop in that environment. Did you observe any of that?
No, because I was an all-girl trip.
Got it.
So
Okay.
we were done. Now,
Yeah.
however, I will say that there was very much an interest of like, well, those people on this trip and I'm on this trip and maybe
Yeah.
we need to text so-and-so on that trip and
Yeah.
talk about
Sure.
the people on that trip. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of conversation happening at night.
Wild.
Yes, it was. So it probably was a good thing that I didn't have that because I think it would have just been like 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it would have.
They, there's always potential. And,
Always potential.
We'll see in the next couple of weeks if anything blossoms.
Yeah,
If the seed that was planted was blossoming.
For sure.
But I think, even what Fran's talking about is the all the go trips. We had a team that went to Sudbury, Massachusetts as well in the States, and another team that went to Rome, Italy. You were on a mission trip there
Rome
earlier this
International
year.
Church. Yeah, it was the same people that they were working with. So yeah.
And again, awesome. Just think spring break across the United States, literally around the world. They're going to go in May to Thailand and Vancouver, and there's a team that's going this summer to Salt Lake City to spend the summer there, as we have with our Church Planters Union alums, the O'Days.
Yeah, great people.
Great people. Anyway, one of the cool things is that we all train together.
Yeah.
So, all of these go trippers are training, and really appreciate Julie Bradfield and the training that she designs to help us prepare. But it also, again, as you said, Ted, I mean, if someone's going on mission, they're
I know, man.
definitely
It's a bit
hotter.
of a deal. Yeah, bit of a deal. I'm not saying that's something we promise at Union, but it's in the subtext.
Yeah,
you know?
there you go.
Yeah,
Definitely can happen.
Can't deny it.
Yeah. I think it's one of those, I say this about a lot of things, but really, truly, honestly, I wish that it could somehow be mandatory.
Sure.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Like
that'd be
I
really
wish
neat.
it was just something like you could just go at least once over the course of your 4 years.
And y'all have both seen this, and again, we have sometimes parents who listen, so certainly encourage your students to go on mission trips. But there's something about a mission trip where you can really clearly sense that what you're doing is making a difference in the kingdom in ways that sort of our everyday lives we can't see it. The veil's too thick or something. And on a mission trip, it's just peeled back a little bit, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can make a difference for the kingdom.
For sure.
Well, and then how to take that as you get to the end of a trip, and then you're always like, well, what do I do now? You're always asking that question. These are the two questions that I asked over and over out loud all the time during the whole time we were gone. What am I doing with my life? You really evaluate, what am I doing with my life? And then what do I do with this when I get back?
Sure.
Because it can't be left there. And yes, I know and believe and trust that the Lord is constantly working that out in us. It's not like, well, when you get back, do A and then do B and then do C. I understand that. But we just had some beautiful conversations of, okay, I've experienced this. This is how I've been challenged. These were the gospel conversations that I had here. How do I take that back to campus? And to me, that was just as rich and fun to see what they were thinking and how they hope to navigate that when they got back.
I think of sort of questions of like, so what,
Mhm.
now what?
Yeah.
These are always good questions to encourage our students in thinking. But yeah, it's not, the point of it isn't that, and we
Right.
certainly don't make an idol of mission trips. We want to make much of Christ
Right.
there, here, everywhere. Luis Pagoaga, do y'all know
Mhm.
Dr. Pagoaga?
Yeah.
He's here in town, a physician here in town, great guy. He grew up in Honduras.
Hmm.
So the last training, the last team meeting we had, we invited him to come. The the most beautiful thing he said, "Hey, listen, the most important thing that you're going to give these children at the orphanage is yourselves."
Mhm.
And he's like, great that you're taking soccer balls and
Right.
frisbees and basketballs and footballs and chalk and
Right.
coloring books and crafts and
Yeah.
he said, but the best gift you're going to give them is yourselves.
Mm.
And just to hear the students reflecting on that,
Mm.
and then to step into that and live that out, and then again, like you said, the same is true right here on
Right.
campus.
Indeed.
Right.
The best gift you give other people is
Yeah,
yourself.
is yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I love the fact and very grateful that you as a president led a trip.
Yeah, that's
you didn't
cool.
have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
It was fun. It's
yeah,
great.
it was great.
Got a little sunburn.
Got a
If,
little
you see, if people see me peeling on the YouTube, sorry. That's
Was it hot down there?
it was. It was 91 degrees when we left,
Oh,
which was
wow.
really
Oh
nice.
Okay.
wow.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. Because we've had a few cold weeks. Snow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was. I enjoyed it. But
Air conditioning?
I should have used sunscreen. Not one.
No.
Not one
Okay.
square inch of air
Really?
conditioning.
Ooh.
Until we got to the airport.
Okay.
Oh wow. And then you're
Yeah.
like,
It was like, hey, there's air
Mhm.
conditioning.
deep appreciation
Nice.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay, something else that's so fun happening on this campus is we have a new building.
We do.
We have a new building. Talk to us about anything and everything having to do with, I'm calling it the Forum.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I also said yesterday as we walked down there, I said, well, in typical Fran form, I'm going to call it the new building for a
Mhm.
solid year.
Sure.
Because that's just what's been coming out of my
Sure.
mouth as
Mhm.
it's been under construction. So I'm going to have to retrain my brain to say the Forum. Okay, talk to us.
What have you been calling it?
The new
new building.
The-
The students are going to nickname it though,
What
and
do
we
you
have no
think?
control over
What
that.
do you think it's going to
Well,
be?
I don't know. They're gonna pick out some feature of it or some, kind of random thing and start calling it that.
I
And-
can't
and
wait to
we
know
we
what
will
that
have
is.
no power over it,
I
which
know.
is kind of great.
like
I-
Kobo.
Yeah, like Kobo.
for
Exactly.
Real,
Yeah.
For real.
It just kind of happens.
It just
But,
is.
Mhm.
So tell me, Dub, how did we settle upon the name?
Yeah, so the name of the new building is the Ethos Forum,
Mhm.
and really appreciate our practice at Union is that the lead donor has the opportunity to help shape that.
Mhm.
Ultimately, of course, the names of things are decided by the Board of Trustees.
Mhm.
But in this case, the McAfee family are the lead donors for this building. Really grateful for their generosity. And we have a number of things that are named McAfee on campus. There's
Mhm.
McAfee Commons. There's the
Yeah.
McAfee
Yeah.
School of Business, which is
Yeah.
going to be in this building.
Yep.
There's a McAfee Organ.
Mhm.
Anyway, there are a number of things named McAfee, and so it could be McAfee Hall. That would be
Sure.
an appropriate name for
Mhm.
this, since they're the lead donors. But Tom McAfee, who is shepherding this for their family, said, hey, I really appreciate that, but we'd like it to be something that's not our name. It's not that we're
Mhm.
not proud of our name. It's
Mhm.
just that we feel like that it should be something that reflects the institution. And he said, I really liked what y'all did with the Logos,
Mhm.
and could we do something like that? And so we workshopped a number of names.
Mhm.
We have a couple of Latin and Greek professors on campus, particularly thinking about helping with this were Mark Dubas
Mhm.
and Brad Green. And Tim Ellsworth also
Nice.
helped workshop several of these names. Anyway, one of the ideas was the Ethos Forum, and
Mhm.
it complements. Most people think of Logos, but typically we think of Logos, Ethos, and Pathos.
Mhm.
Logos is what we believe. Ethos is how we live out our beliefs.
Mhm.
And so this idea of this is a place where we're faithfully living our lives, creating, marketing,
Yeah.
building, selling,
A lot of collaboration in the building.
a lot of
Yeah,
collaboration.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then the idea of the forum is in antiquity, the Forum was a place where you go and you exchange ideas
Yes.
and, you know, present ideas, and people
Mhm.
sort of challenge them, and this really creative sort of interaction of ideas as well. And so the Ethos Forum then is this place where we ethically create, trying to be live out this image of God in us. Of course, we also think about ethics from ethos. That's the same root. It's a place of ethical work and
Yeah.
ethical living. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Love it.
The Ethos Forum.
Okay, so tell us.
I think probably people are going to shorten it to the Forum. That's what I've heard
yeah.
most. Probably some will be EF, you know,
Yeah.
because a lot of people were saying new academic building and calling
Yeah.
it the NAB.
Oh, yeah,
there's-
yeah.
You know, that's not going to
Interesting.
work. But
Yeah. Now we're going to get a pathos building at some point. Go
Yes,
talk
right.
about our
Yeah.
feelings. Get in touch with our
yeah,
our
exactly.
hearts a
It'd be
little bit.
great for
Yeah, yeah.
psychology.
It would.
You know,
Yeah.
psychology department. That'd be great.
Yeah. Another new build. You know.
Can't
Okay,
wait for that.
Yeah.
So anyway,
exactly.
the building. You asked sort of what's in it. Do you
Yeah,
wanna-
what's in it? What departments are in there?
All right, so the McAfee School of Business, and then the departments of Engineering and Computer Science. So this sort of innovation, collaboration, create ideas, bring them to market. Even though those disciplines are there, there's also a massive maker space. And so thinking about like art students and you know, journalism students
Yeah.
and anybody who has an idea for a business or something that they could create that then bring to market, there's going to be place for. So there's a huge maker space. There's a entrepreneurship sort of lab. There's space for like even incubator, like students who are starting businesses. And one of the things we did at the most recent Faith in the Marketplace is we had several student entrepreneurs businesses featured there. We had 4 businesses. So that kind of idea, a student who wants to start a business, we want to help them go from beginning to end and learn how to do that, and learn how to do that in ways that honor Christ.
Love it.
So there's 19 classrooms in this building. The largest one seats 60. It's a nice tiered classroom. You all know we have very small classes at Union, but we do have some that are larger. This will be one of our largest classrooms on campus. That'll be nice to have. Great lab space for both computer science and engineering. I think there are 171 computers in this building.
I believe it because
Wow.
I felt like when I was in there, I felt like there was a computer at every turn.
So, and again, computer science, you know, they used a lot of technology. The technology is really advanced in this building. There are also, thankfully, places that there's no technology, which is nice because we want to model that as well. There's a huge atrium where people just hang out and talk, but could also be converted to kind of a marketplace. There are 39 faculty offices in the building. We do have a few of those will be empty. I think we have 5 that are empty again for future expansion. Hopefully, these programs will have an opportunity to grow, and we'll be adding faculty through the years. And then again, a lot of common space. So places for students to just hang out and study. There's also on the top floor kind of a conference center that's a beautiful space that overlooks the Union Woods, which are across the street, and we'll have lots of really nice events up there as well.
Excellent.
It's going to be a beautiful space.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love
Very
it.
cool.
I'm so thankful for it. And it's also kind of like how I remember when the library was finished, and then you feel like it's always been there.
Sure.
And then I now look at this building and I'm like, what was it like before it was there? Because I feel like it's always been there. It just fits so beautifully. And I think that says a lot. Like, I know I'm going to call it the new building, but it really doesn't even feel like a new building.
Sure.
It feels like it's always meant to be there.
Yeah.
It belongs.
Yeah.
And I think that's so sweet.
We had really, really good help, you know, architecturally. And one of the things that I love about our campus is there's a unity of the buildings. You know, they're not all the same, but they have very similar characteristics. You know, things like the 4 columns in front to represent our 4 core values, the classic red brick.
Yeah.
Now every 7th course of brick separated to remind students of the pattern of God's creation. You know, anyway, beautiful space.
Sweet.
Have you got a chance to see it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
No.
Fran snuck over.
Oh,
Wow.
you're going.
Fran's big time.
No,
I mean,
no. I just happened to ask. I'm like, it never hurts to ask. Always ask.
I'm going to ask Rick. We're going to get 2 hard hats and 2 vests. and we're gonna go do
You're
it.
gonna have to walk from his office all the way over there
That's
in
it.
the hard
We'll do
hat
it.
and the vest.
I want the full experience.
Oh, y'all are crazy.
I mean, Rick basically built the building,
He did.
so I want to
He
walk
did.
through with the master.
Yeah, you should. That'd
Yeah,
be
yeah.
fun. That'd be a fun tour. Okay, so let's stay on the theme of building and projects because that's, I mean, essentially we have to have those
Sure.
because that's what we do. We educate people and they need space. And something that I love, and I'm only seen drawings, of course, because that's all we have at this point. But the next project.
The next project.
Everybody always wants to know, just like we were saying before we
What's
hit
next?
record, is
Impossible to
we
satisfy.
can't. I know we can't just
You know?
sit, but it's the timing of it. It's just
Sure,
the timing of it. But we do have something in the works.
Yeah, and of course, and the best read of all that is, wow, this is great.
Yes.
Let's keep going. Let's keep
Yeah.
pursuing these things. Of course, this all started with the campus master plan in 2019, which ultimately leads to sort of a unified Great Lawn all the way down the campus from Pleasant Plains Extended to the bypass. Ultimately, the PAC will completely come down. We should probably mention that the BAC, the Blasingame Academic Complex, where business and social work and education have been, is coming down this summer. So part of this, again, being good stewards is making sure that we're being efficient with our space, not just having space to have space, but, thinking about, hey, what are we trying to do in these spaces, those kind of things. The next project is a new chapel.
I love it.
A new chapel.
I love it. It's
A
gorgeous.
new chapel.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. It's going to be an incredible anchor for the Great Lawn, and I think a real statement to who we are and who we intend to be way into the future.
Okay, speak into the fact that if people are familiar with campus and they've been in our chapel, they can visualize our current chapel. That's what they're.
Please don't.
Right. So that's what they see.
Sure.
So describe to us what this space looks like, because it is very different than what we have now. And I think if you haven't seen drawings, and I don't know, are those published anywhere?
Yes, on the website.
Okay.
If you search chapel, maybe if you search chapel, it's going to take you to the chapel. But maybe search construction projects or new chapel or Heart of the Campus is what we're calling the fundraising campaign for that. So any of those, I think, would probably take you to there, and you can see some images, some early images of what it's going to look like. It is what I would describe as a classic, beautiful chapel. A tall steeple, of course, 4 columns as you come in, very prominent. The steeple will be 185 feet tall. It'll be the tallest thing on campus. The worship space is cruciform, so it's got this very long, kind of, again, classic cathedral feel to it. Lots of volume in it.
Love that.
High ceilings.
Yeah.
It won't. It'll be a more modern sensibilities in terms of the seating than some of these old cathedrals that we've seen in Italy and Germany and France and other places. But the concepts of sort of how those buildings are shaped will be evident in this.
Love it. Very cool.
I do love it. When do you think this is going to start?
Great question. We're currently working on what are called design documents, which will ultimately turn into the construction documents. All of that process is supposed to be complete late this fall. So the earliest we could start it would be January, February of 26.
Okay. Listen, that's right around the corner.
That's right around the corner. I'm hopeful for that.
Okay.
The second option would be after summer, so like August of 2026.
But that's next year.
That's next year. Now, listen, we're talking very hopefully here, everybody.
With a loose end.
That's right. So we have some fundraising still yet to do. We've made some really good progress on that. We're very, very grateful for that, but we need to do some more fundraising to get to a point where we can go. But anyway, I'm hopeful about that as well. And if all goes well, January, February, we'll start construction. If we don't hit that, then kind of the next thing I think would be August. It doesn't make sense to to sort of start something like that in the middle of a semester.
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, we got a lot of work to do between now and then.
But that's exciting.
But first, we got to get this one that we're dedicating
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It's all so very exciting. Okay.
It is exciting.
It is. It's
exciting.
all so good. And I'm very grateful for how we steward our finances, for how we don't just build for the sake of building and get into all this debt. And I'm very grateful for how you and the executive council and the board of trustees are very mindful of that. Speak to us just a little bit. I think parents are always very curious and interested in the financial health of our institution. And we are private Christian ed. And so kind of, why is it worth it?
Sure.
The value of it. I don't think we can ever speak into that enough, that we are different than a public state school. So speak into that value, and then just maybe our financial health as a whole.
I want to go back to something that was on the last episode, and you all were talking with Jacob Schatzer about this, but about what it means to be taught and shepherded by people who love Christ, who love God's word, who are teaching to be the best in journalism. I mean, Cluck, you're going to have Cluck. That's awesome, or I think in like accounting, people like Karen Miller and Valerie Townsend and Santosh Abraham. I think about people in English, Jason Crawford and Jay Beavers, and we go on and on each of these disciplines. You're just thinking about these colleagues that we know.
Impressive folks.
They're incredible intellects, but who love Christ so much and who seek to honor Him.
Yep.
It's just different. The one of the things that I say when I'm addressing scholars of excellence, which I appreciate Michaela's one a couple back, but is the telos of a university is truth. It should be truth. Let me put it that way. At Union, it is truth.
Right.
And that's what we're leading students to, is we're leading students to the truth. When you look across the landscape of higher education, there's so many institutions that are not trying to lead students to the truth. They're trying to lead them to something else.
Right.
Maybe they're trying to lead them to journalism, which isn't a bad goal, but it's not ultimate.
That's it. Yeah.
Maybe they're leading them to mathematics, but it's not ultimate, and I think, just the difference is so clear. And yes, we don't get the state money. We just talk about buildings.
Right.
We're in the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee requires public institutions to raise 10% of the funds. Taxpayers pay 90% of the cost of a building.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
At Union, we raise 100%. It's all us. That means it's going to be a little more expensive to go to Union. But it's worth it because you're pursuing the truth.
Right.
And you're pursuing the truth with people who love the truth. And that really does make all the difference.
It's huge. Yeah.
And I know it is hard for people to grasp, particularly I think people, as maybe they're struggling with finances or how are we going to do this. But all I can say is that's worth it. Now, what our responsibility is to steward that well, to steward our finances well, to steward our resources well, to make sure we're developing these projects like the new Ethos Forum so that students can have these incredible learning experiences. I was taking someone through yesterday, one of the donors, and he's like, when you see this is just as good as the very best you see at Vanderbilt. And I was like, it really is. He's like, why would anybody not choose this? And I was like, I hope that's what goes through people's minds.
Yeah.
But Chronicle of Higher Education last week had something that came out that said about 2/3 of colleges and universities are in trouble financially. And again, I feel a huge responsibility in this. And Rick, we've talked about our CFO. He pulled our peer institutions, and there are 15 institutions on our peer list, and there was only one of those 15 that had in the last 10 years 0 years of operating loss,
Mm.
and that was Union.
Wow.
And
Wow.
some of those institutions have 6 years of operating losses, which
Yeah.
means they're spending more than they're taking in every year, which means they're
Yeah.
they're
That's right.
either in trouble or going to be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of stewardship, you know, we don't want to charge any more than we absolutely have to so that it
That's
can
right.
be accessible to families. But we also want to steward it in a way that it's going to be here for them. It's going to be here for their kids, for their grandkids,
Yeah.
till the Lord comes. So,
Indeed.
Well, when you think about it, when you think about that and just the deeper, richer meaning of what we do and who we are, and that those buildings are more than just buildings.
Right. Yeah.
Those classrooms are more than just classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
There is real life transformation. The truth is being taught of the craft, but also through the lens of the vessel of somebody that is pursuing truth. And so whether you see the fruit of that over the 4 years that they're here, or that the Lord decides to, you know, that fruit comes 8, 12, 20 years later, I don't know. I don't know his timing. It's not an equation that just fits beautifully and perfectly. But to know that there's something so good and spiritual and honoring to the Lord in that new building, in a new chapel, in any building, I just think, why would you not?
Well, yeah, and ultimately we're not winning them with buildings.
No,
you know, we need to win them
no.
with the truth.
Right.
You know, and with being seen, known, and loved, and cared for well by us, and learning the, you know, the craft at the highest level. You know, those are a part of our values too. And I think in the aggregate, you know, it makes us really competitive. And I think storytelling, the financial piece, because it is a comfort to parents to know that, because they see all these hand-wringing articles about the future of higher ed, and just even for me as a faculty member to know that we are, you know, in a good place and will remain in a good place, Lord willing, you know, it just makes that decision a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I was just even today, someone sent me a couple of articles about, you know, Harvard's the richest institution,
Yeah.
and they've instituted a budget
right.
freeze, a hiring freeze, which we've dealt with, you know,
Sure.
here at Union to be good stewards of our resources. But, you know, it's a challenging time. It's a challenging time for all of us. And again, it's not, there's probably not going to be unchallenging times. I think that, you know, sort of that's sort of a false assumption. And, you know, ultimately the scriptures are pretty clear. Give us neither poverty nor riches.
That's right.
That Union is one of those places. Again, I don't want to say we're poor, because we're certainly not poor, but I'm also grateful that we're not wealthy and abandon our first love.
Academic Disney, you know, with a side business in academics. Yeah.
This is so good. I'm so thankful, very thankful for you, and just how you continue to lead with great humility and wisdom, and just a love for our students, and a love for seeing everybody, faculty, staff, students, grow in their love and their knowledge of the Lord as they pursue whatever it is that we're pursuing every single day in our job. So thank you.
Excited about the hair project too. We'll keep tabs on it.
Keep tabs on it. Yeah, that's
Come
right.
back next fall and Dr. Dub will surface again, and who knows. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Let's Talk About That. We'll see you next time. Y'all have a great day.